Massdrop is an online group buy site with a large variety of products. Products can reach well below their MSRP, averaging around 50% off. Click the first link in the description to sign up. Hello guys, DarkLord Project here again, and today we have a $1,700 Ultimate Gaming PC build, so let's get started. So the CPU is the Intel Core i7-4770K, which is $334. It's clocked at 3.5 GHz, it's unlocked, it's quad-core, and it's the best high-end gaming CPU. So it is 3.5 GHz, but that shouldn't be a problem because it is unlocked, so feel free to overclock this CPU. It's also quad-core with hyper-threading, so it has those 8 cores instead of just 4, which is always great when it comes to gaming and content creation. So I decided to get this high-end gaming CPU because you never know, you want to do some video editing here and there or some content creation, so it's always nice to have something a little bit more premium than getting a cheaper like AMD CPU. The CPU cooler is the Corsair H75, which is $75. It's 54 CFM, it's a liquid cooler, and it's one radiator. So I don't usually find it necessary for most builds to get 2 radiators. I think one radiator still gets the job done, and it is much cheaper. So usually when you're going with 2 radiators, you have the $100 price range, but the budget still is pretty high. But I decided to spend some extra cash at like a graphics card than a CPU cooler. But this cooler is still amazing. 54 CFM is perfect, and it's, like I said, liquid cooler, which is so much more efficient when it comes to air cooling. So the motherboard is the Asus Z97 Pro, which is $208. It has built-in Wi-Fi, it's ATX, and it's LGA1150. So the socket for the CPU is also LGA1150, so no compatibility issues there. It's ATX, so expandability should be much better than micro ATX from what I've heard. And it also has built-in Wi-Fi, so most people usually do use Ethernet, but built-in Wi-Fi can be beneficial when it comes to moving your tower around for some strange reason. And if you just don't have access to Ethernet, built-in Wi-Fi will for sure help. Also, the Asus Z97 Pro is a top-tier LGA1150 board. It is just an amazing board. Obviously, the price tag does tell, so I think it just makes a great candidate for this build. So the RAM is the G.Skill Ripjaws X series, and we are getting 2 of these, which add up to $172. It's DDR3 clocked at 1600 MHz. It's 16 GB for 4 GB sticks, and it's reliable and high quality. So this RAM is a little bit more expensive than most RAM on the market, which is DDR3. It is 1600 MHz, which is standard, but 16 GB will help a lot when it comes to gaming. I think 8 GB would still be fine, but 16 GB, especially in the future, if games change how many gigabytes of RAM they need, you sure will be set in the future. It also is very reliable. I heard G.Skill Ripjaws X series is very reliable. Anything by G.Skill is pretty good RAM for the most part, and I think this RAM should have no problem at all playing games or content creation. This build actually has 2 hard drives, one being an SSD and one being an HDD. So the SSD is the Crucial MX100, which is $74. It's 128 GB, it's a 2.5-inch SSD, and it's the best SSD on the market. So my friend said this SSD is just amazing. The Crucial MX100 makes a great candidate for holding important video games and your operating system. It isn't the biggest SSD, but $74 is still a great price tag for a very reliable and fast SSD. So the hard drive is the Western Digital Caviar Blue, which is $57. It's 1 TB. It's 3.5 inches HDD, and it's 7,200 RPM. So Western Digital does make some pretty high quality hard drive. It is only $57. It isn't super expensive, but 1 TB should be fine for holding most of your games and applications. It's also 7,200 RPM, which is the standard when it comes to hard drives around this price range and higher. 7,200 RPM is a decent speed, but like I said, the SSD will totally outbeat 7,200 RPM. The graphics card is the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 980 WindForce, which is $630. It has 4 GB of GDDR5 RAM. It has the new Maxwell architecture. It's 12.28 inches. It has 1.23 GHz. It has 2048 CUDA cores and it has low temperatures. So this card pretty much is a beast when it comes to its price range. It's brand new by Nvidia. They recently just launched it about a week ago, the new GTX 980. So this card does have a lot to it. It has the new Maxwell architecture, which uses very little power. It is a very large card and it does have 3 fans, but the temperatures on this card is so much more better than the 700 series. It also has 2048 CUDA cores, which is a lot of CUDA cores, and it also is 1.23 GHz. So this should be able to play almost every game at 1440p at ultra settings, and if it was 4K just by itself, it might be able to play most games at medium, possibly even high. So this is just an amazing card for the price range. $630, you sure are getting a lot. And if you need more information about this card, I highly recommend just Googling it, watching some videos. There's a lot about this card that makes it just a great candidate for this build. So the case is the NZXT H440, which is $110. It's an ATX mid-tower case. It supports large cards and it has a great building space. So I did have to go with a bigger, more expensive case because we do have a big card. It is 13 inches, well 12.5 to be exact. So we do need a big case. So this is a perfect case when it comes to building. It has supports for all types of power supplies, long ones and short ones. It could support big cards. It has several drive cages, and it's great when it comes to cable management. So I thought this case was the perfect case for this build. So the power supply is EVGA 650 watt, which is $65. It has 650 watts of power. It's 80 plus gold certified, and it's fully modular. So I actually didn't have to stick with a 1000 watt power supply, which I had originally, but I totally forgot about the Maxwell architecture. Like I said, the Maxwell architecture uses very low voltage, so we could just get super cheap power supplies with pretty good specs. So instead of getting a 1000 watt power supply for $100, we could just save 50 bucks right here with a 650 watt power supply. And this actually does have some extra wattage, surprisingly enough. So the overview for this PC build is it has the new GTX 980. I mean, let's be honest, I think this is just the top part about this whole build. It's just an amazing card, and I think it will last a pretty long time. So that's pretty much it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you check purepc.net for some more amazing tech tutorials, PC builds, and much more. So I will see you later.